Hello again, it's Lock Noob, and this took over a year to get made, but this is the Sparrows murder set. And this looks like, so you might have seen before, which is a set of sort of dual height peaked rakes, like a triple peak rake set with dual heights. And these are not what you might think they are. They're not something like the Sparrows reflection lockpick set, which is a single, double and triple peak rake set. This is something a bit different, and no, they're not quite the same spacing as your standard triple peak. Let me show you. This looks like your standard triple peak rake, but this is a standard triple peak rake. Let me line them up together and you'll see that the spacing and heights are very different, and they're different for a very calculated reason. You can use this in the same way for rocking, scrubbing, raking, but they are designed to be used in a particular way I've not seen done before. And for full disclosure, this set was sent to me for review and to keep by Sparrows, and I did work with Sparrows to design this set. In fact, I sent them the original handmade set of these triple peak rakes. So here is a standard triple peak rake. Here is a cutaway lock that I made. Yeah, this is handmade. Quite proud of this, just made with a hacksaw. I have a video on how to make one of those if you want. And you can see this is a 6-pin lock with a mixture of standard and spool driver pins. This is an extremely standard Euro format lock, of which there are possibly hundreds of different brands. So with a normal triple peak rake, you can see that it doesn't actually cover the full extent of the range of pins on the inside. You can put it in and it probably reaches to, you can see here, the 4th pin. You can stick it in further, of course, and you can definitely use this to rake these pins into a set. It's a great design and it works really well. Now let's take one of these murder rakes. I've chosen the one with the 3 tall peaks, and you'll see that the spacing of those peaks is incredibly deliberate to fit between the pin 1 and 2, then pins 3 and 4, and then pins 5 and 6. Let me pop that into this cutaway lock and you'll see that instead of trying to get underneath the individual pins like this, where the peaks are just underneath the pins, you go in between those pins like that. So what you've got is essentially a peak between pins 1 and 2, 3 and 4, and 5 and 6. And then what you can do is you can use this to rock up and down like this, but also you can move the peaks from side to side like this. And this isn't scrubbing, you're gently moving the peaks, and you'll see that as you pull one of these peaks towards a pin and it rises up, the other one will drop down. As you push it the other way, the other pin will drop down and the pin after it will rise up. So this is supposed to be easy to locate this pick in between the pin positions and then pull it slightly forwards and slightly back like this, while lifting, rocking, whatever those motions are, to then try to actually just set the pins at shear line in a different way to just scrubbing and cycling the pick. So this is a much more gentle approach. It's somewhat akin to a set of those like magic rakes, which are designed to offer many different profiles of rake to the lock itself. And you can see that as I move this back and forth in the lock, just subtly, and again for a 5-pin lock, you don't have to. You can choose which position you put this in a 5-pin lock, or even a 4-pin lock. This works in all of them, but I'm showing you that this is designed to go also in a standard 6-pin lock. So this can go in, you pop it underneath the pins, you can feel it sort of lock in because it sort of hits between the 2 pins. Then yeah, you just literally just move this subtly in and out, up and down, until you finally get an open. Let me throw this in a vise and I'll show you how to get an open with this. So hopefully you can see all the pins. Here is the key. Pop that in, give it a bit of a turn, show how it looks. Then I'm going to pop in a turning tool. And then what I'm going to do is just choose one of the rakes. Now, I happen to know that this rake works with this lock. How would you know whether it works in the right lock? Well, you just cycle through the 5 profiles just like you would with any rake set until you find the one which works for you. You insert it in, you locate it between the pins, which actually you can just feel it because the peaks actually fit between the pins and it just feels great. And then what you do is you would just pop this in under light tension like this, and then you would just move it subtly back and forth like this until you find the exact position where these pins feel like they are, well, till you get that set really. And then once you get that set, you'll just feel the lock go just like you would any rake. So you can see just by subtle movements, nothing crazy, we're just going through this and we've got the open. So we're not scrubbing back and forth like this, we're literally just trying to use those differences in the peak heights naturally and just move the pick back and forth just like that. You can just see, can't you? You can just see how those pins are able to sort of move up and down just due to the differences in peak heights, which I think is really nice. So a very different way of thinking about raking. Remember, you're between the pins and you're moving this back and forth and up and down to sort of oscillate them just up and down without scrubbing to try and hit that shear line. And these peak spacings and heights are designed specifically for this type of lock. I've got loads of Eurocylinders here, so let's try and go through some of these and see what we can get open. So first up is this lock with this nice bitting here. I'm going to be using the high rake and just pop that in under some very light tension. Again, we're not doing like super big scrubbing motions here. We're just moving between those pins as I showed earlier, and we have the open. Next up is a 6-pin Miller lock, and not a bad bitting on that one, I'd say. So we're going to pop a turning tool in. That feels good. Maybe the other way. That fits in a bit better. Okay. They're going to sort of again get under it and straight away. Next up we have a 5-pin lock with not quite as good a bitting, but with a 5-pin lock we can choose to go either before the first pin or after, or anywhere really. You can go as deep as you want. They're your rakes, you can and your locks, you can do whatever you want really. So just going to pop that in. I'm going to get between that first pin, and again just gentle movements as I sort of scrub these pins. Not scrub, just gently rock these pins back and forth. I can go low in the lock, I can go high in the lock, a little higher. I can rake down, I can rake sort of up. You've got to find that position and just gently manipulate those pins. But again, we're not sort of giving it a big scrub like this. We're being very gentle under light tension, and we have the open. We have another era. This one isn't cut away this time. And again, just pop some turning tool in. We're using that triple peak. Going to go in, get between those first two pins. Again, we're not trying to sort of scrub this open, aggressively. We're just trying to find the position where, oh, see, we're already in a false set. Just reset that. And that must mean we're pretty close, right? If we're getting to a false set, then you can try moving the tension the other way maybe, and trying that way. And we've got the open. So that's a bunch of locks with this high peak rake, and you can see the range of different bittings that this has managed to open. Let's change our rake to the high, low, high, and this is a Eurospec MP6 with only 5 pins, but look at the bitting, pretty good, isn't it? Deep cut, high, low at the end. And you wouldn't think that this would be the right rake for this lock, but it is. So just going to pop in some tension, and because it's 5 pins, we get to put the peaks either before the first pin or after it, doesn't really matter. And we're just going to give this a rake, and we've got it open. Look at that. We have this Vitawind lock with a pretty good bitting, actually, I have to say. And we'll just throw some turning force in there, pop this in. Oh, straight into a false set. And we're open. Wow. And look at that bitting. Just look at that bitting. So now we've got a 5-pin lock with a pretty decent bitting. because it's 5 pins, I can choose where to put this, like any of them really. Put it really far deep if you want, or come back to here and try to get it set there. I mean, there's so many ways in which you could approach this lock, so I'm going to pop this in. I might go quite deep in this one now, get it between some pins, and see if I can't open it up like that. If not, I'll bring it to the front. I said you can always go sort of deep in this lock if you want to. Oh, we got the open, look at that. Then we have an M&C lock. And again, you know, you can put the pick position wherever you want really, as long as it sort of works. This is a 5-pin lock, so I have to move the first peak out of sort of the way a little bit. Oh, straight away. And a reminder of all the bittings I was able to open with just this rake. Now let's go to the low, high, low rake. This one, strangely, is one which I find doesn't work on as many locks as the others, but when you need it, you need it. First up is a Basta lock, which is sort of low, high, low, I guess you could say, in its bitting, which would make sense that it works with this rake, or at least I hope it does. It does, it really does. Next up is a 5-pin era lock with a particularly sticky keybow for reasons it only knows, and again you can see that low, high, low bitting. This one's 5 pins, so again, where do I put this first peak? Before or after that first pin? I could put before and try to do this one, so let's try. Yeah, that's locked in nicely. Again, it's just trying to... Oh, got it. Again, just a summary of those locks we just picked. Again, quite extreme bitting, some of them. This is another one which I find a bit situational, but when you need it, you need it. So the first lock I've got for this pick is going to be this lovely ISEO with a really nice bitting. And for this, I'm actually going to do some hybrid picking. I want to show that, you know, these aren't just for rocking the locks open, getting that bitting all the pins to the shear line. You can still use this to do your classic sort of hybrid picking technique, where you sort of get into a false set like that. Then you can come in with your hook, and you can find any of those pins which are not quite set, and then you can set those and open the lock. Really easy. Another one of these Sabinco locks. I don't know much about this brand, if I was to be honest with you. But, you know, if we can get the open, I don't care. just if you open, I don't mind what your brand story is. Oh, we've got it open, there we go. Nice. And here are the keys to the locks we just picked compared to the rake. And last but by no means least, we've got the low, high, high, of course. And first up with this rake, we're going to go in with this Chavo, which has, again, pretty decent bitting, I'd say. Need to find a turning tool which fits into this lock. That should be okay. And then we can try to rake it, I guess. So, again, just pop that in the right place. And wow, that was crazy quick. And then let's see what we can do with this zone lock. Again, nice normal bitting on this. Zone make good locks, so I don't know if I'm going to get an open straight away on this, but I'm going to give it a go. It's more a case of like with this type of lock, if you can get it quickly into a false set, that's like this right now. It's a case of like, can I? Oh, okay. Apparently it did open really well. That's pretty cool. I like that. And there you go. Just a reminder of the bittings of the locks that I use this rake on. And just look at some of the different bittings we got here that we can use these rakes on to get those lovely opens on those 5 and 6 pin high security locks. Just because these rakes were designed to go between the pins on Euro locks, and other locks for that matter, to rock up and down to try and get the pins all to the shear line at the same time. That doesn't mean you can't use these as standard rakes as well. Let me show you. Here's a little Yale padlock. We're just going to use this rake to sort of scrub it open like we would using any rake. Let's try scrubbing open this master lock. There we go, another one. Another little master lock because, well, I can't see a reason why not. There we go. And a federal lock. So there you go. As you can see, these rakes are really effective, both being used sort of into pin as a rocking rake as they were intended, but also as classic scrubbing rakes. They work really, really well. So does that mean we've peaked? Have I invented the last set of rakes you'll ever need? Is this where peak rake technology ends? Well, I would say that these are very good. I'm biased, of course. I designed them. But they are very good, they are very effective, but there will be some locks you just can't rake open, or even maybe even get to a full set with these rakes, just like every other rake. And you'll also want to keep hold of your classic rakes like these triple peaks, double peaks, snake rakes, whatever you want really, whatever you like, whatever you use, whatever rake suits the type of lock you want to try and open. Locks that these rakes will struggle to open are very similar to the locks that most rakes will struggle to open. So locks with extremely paracentric keyways where you can barely get the rake in, that's going to be obviously a trouble for peaks this high. And of course, locks with really extreme bitting. Look at this max adjacent cut. It's very unlikely you're going to be able to reach up high enough with one of these peaks without fouling or overlifting the pin before it. So these rakes are really, really good, but with locks with really extreme bittings or very, very paracentric keyways, just like all other rakes, you're going to struggle a little bit with those. Doesn't mean you won't be able to get into a full set maybe and pick the last few pins, but to rock them open, probably a lesser chance, let's say that. But just as a reminder, these are the keys for all of the locks that I did manage to do a demo of, and this isn't all the locks, of course, as it will open. These are just the ones that I grabbed for this video, and I think that speaks volumes. So there you go. I really hope you like this set of murder rakes. I'm quite pleased with these, honestly. I don't think anybody else has designed a set of peaked rakes specifically to go in between pairs of pins in a lock to act as a sort of rocker rake. I don't think anybody's done that before, to my knowledge at least. And you know, you can see just here how those subtle movements back and forth really change the I guess the bitting inside the lock, the pin positions. So you only need a few different types of rake to offer up so many opportunities to open up many, many, many different types of lock. And yeah, because you can use them as a standard rake as well, you know, you don't have to learn a whole new technique if you don't want to. They're just a nice set of dual peak rakes as well. It's just that the measurements and peak heights were designed specifically for one purpose. It doesn't mean that it can't be used as an all-round rake as well. So yeah, if you do buy yourself a set of these, I don't get any kickback from the sales, so it doesn't matter to me whether you buy them or not. But if you do buy them, I'd be really interested to know how you get on with them. Do you like the sort of inter-pin technique? Do you just like to use them as a standard rocking, scrubbing, you know, rake? I'd love to know, if you do have a set of these, what you think of them. Did you know how they're supposed to be used? Let me know in the comments below. I do read them all and reply to as many as I can. If you like this video, leave a like. If you haven't subscribed and want to see more content like this, see what other designs I'm up to, then hit that subscribe button. It really helps me out. Otherwise, stay safe, happy picking, and I will see you all next time.